What's up YouTube? Welcome to the very last update on a tier list right before the expansion, the War Within, coming in 4.5 days. Much appreciate you guys sticking around and being here. Today we have got some class changes to pretty much go through and explain what's happening, how the rankings are going to change, yada yada yada. So I appreciate you guys being here. And once again, if you guys looking to get the spreadsheet, it will be available live on stream, or I guess also nice events for the upcoming expansion, and it's gonna remain maintained shall there be more changes. Now keep in mind, arguably we see more changes before the season 1 comes out, which is pretty much gonna be between the 10th and the 15th of September. We might see some changes there. If there are more, then I might make another video, but this should be the what I call it a final meeting on Sunday before an actual expansion comes out. So without further ado guys, let's keep on rolling. We're having a fire mage right at the bottom. It's been the case for the past 3 weeks. Fire mage did not get any changes so far, which I believe I have found the reason why fire mage did not get anything. Because fire mage is not particularly bad in raiding. With a pure single target talents, you are not bad at all, so you are much better choice for raid. Hence why I believe that might be the reason why they are not buffing Fire Mage. Keep in mind, my take, I could be wrong here. Fire Mage currently struggles in both single target and AoE. Just because when you play Mythic Plus talents, you are severely undertuned. They need more changes on behalf of Fire Mage for Mythic Plus, something to make them better. Preferably, do not buff Flame Strike. Neither of the Fire Mages like to play Flame Strike. I can even ask the chat, do you like Flame Strike build? Does anybody enjoy playing Flame Strike Fire Mage? Most of you do not. Most of you are enjoying to play Ignite build, which is far better. Always been better. Flame Strike is dog shit. Exactly. On behalf of durability, one of the tankiest pick in the world. We already know that. They have great defensive profile, great utility, good mob control. Also Arcane intellect buffer, which is immensely huge for like the meta right now. If they were to get more positive changes, this spec will climb probably to impressive or base candidate, depending once again on the amount of buffs. That is the only spec that appears to be in an underperforming tier. Unfortunately for all of you, it is the case. Going to the next tier, OK Ramos. Discipline Priest did get some changes this week, 5% more damage, but that 5% more damage was supposed to be added a while ago, which they didn't, and now they actually pushed it live. So pretty much quote unquote nothing really major has changed for Discipline Priest. This priest is still the lowest performing healer in our tier list, which pretty much means that you need more love to be placed anywhere higher on the list. Truly output, both offensive, defensive output. This is something that they actually need to work on and get them better. They are a much better choice for raiding than it is in Mythic Plus, so if you are a Disc Priest main, you will still be fine in raiding. In Mythic Plus, however, you will struggle. Especially, for example, when there's like a heavy HPS encounters, you gotta move left and right, you know, healing deck could be a pain. On behalf of utility, once again, I can't complain there. I do believe they are stable everywhere, pretty much. Barrier, double pincer, rupture shields, etc. All of this can actually implement a great way to mitigate a lot of damage. Just give them more healing or damage or anything just to make them better. Either of this will help them. BM Hunter. BM Hunter did not get any changes for a long time now. There are several issues I'm having with them. First of all, lack of sustained damage, which is likely the biggest issue. During cooldowns, especially if you play Call of the Wild, you're most definitely gonna feel fantastic. Now whether you're gonna play AoE or ST, off cooldowns however, you feel terrible, likely tank damage right now. That is the biggest issue I'm having with BM Hunter. They just need more roll damage, more consistent damage. You are gonna be a better pickup for raiding than you are in Mythic Plus. That is undeniably true. Just because of your single target. And also the ability to play and do your rotation while moving, you know. Utility has gotten better. Now they have an AoE stop, several single target stops like Scatter Shot and Single target stun, biting shot can also be picked up together. Better survivability. You have a double survival of the fittest. You have acceleration, aspect of the turtle. You do have extra HP from the pet HP extra on demand. So most definitely you have the tools to help you survive. Should there be more buffs on BM Hunter, they will climb the ladder. Next in line is going to be a Devastation Evoker. Devastation Evoker actually, on the contrary, a lot of people think they're completely ass. Okay, let me be the first one to confirm that. They are not complete ass. Their damage profile is not bad. The problem with Devastation right now is several. Okay, Devastation Evoker is likely to be overshadowed by Augmentation because it's much better. Second, the sustained damage, especially off cooldowns, feels lackluster. Yes, during cooldowns they do amazing. They actually do have a quite great burst. Sustained damage, however, it feels right now on a shorter end. Other than that, there is nothing else that is really bad with Devastation. So people like to doom on that way too much. I don't think Devastations are completely ass. By any means. Also, they're pretty tanky. There are several ways to mitigate damage. They're very mobile. Yes, 25 yard, offensive range could be an issue sometimes. But other than this, you don't have, you don't really have any other down brands, I guess, but that's about it. That's the only bad thing I could say about Augmentation. Devastation. Chat, next in line is gonna be Destruction Lock. Unfortunately for Destruction Locks, after the most recent changes to their toolkit, especially damage profile and nerfs to Diabolist, right now they are more towards the OK tier than a good choice. Now, several ways to get them to a better stage. First of all, we can all agree that during Summon Inferno, you do absolutely clap. Now, whether you're gonna do 2-3 targets, AoE, etc., you absolutely clap, right? You don't have a really good burst. Your burst damage right now is slightly on the lower end, especially if you do play low level keys, high level, like mid level keys. By the time you ramp up with like Severos, Rains of Fire, most of the pack is already close to being dead. So this is one of the specs that went through a roller coaster from like really good. No, so they began really bad. So they were really bad, then they were okay, then they got buffed to the moon, they became OP, then they got nerfed to the ground, and now they're okay again. This went through a roller coaster of a I guess performances, but quote unquote, Destro Lock currently has a lackluster single target, mediocre damage output, still great during cooldowns. You're pretty tanky, just like any lock spec, and most importantly, you have decent Mythic Plus utility. That is the TLDR. If they were to get more buffs, I wouldn't be inclined of putting them lower or higher. I guess I'll just promote them. But that's about it, guys. Protection Paladin, honestly, I've re-evaluated my statement. I would still say that they are going to be a good choice because they do amazing damage. They're amazing in terms of damage. Good mob control with Avenger Shield, kicks, single target stun, Binding Light, has a lot of tools to help your team like Sack, Freedom, Lay on Hands, Devotion, Aura, off heals as well. So Protection Paladin by no means is bad. However, the biggest issue I'm having with Prot Paladin right now is two. First, I don't really think you are as durable as other tanks. And second, I don't think you are as easy to play. You're one of the harder tanks to play right now. Based on this, I feel like the casual player might have a big issue going into keys playing Prot Paladin. That's pretty much it. By no means Protection Paladin is a bad choice. What I mean is there are better choices right now for tanks. If they were to buff their durability, like make them tankier, then I would probably say immediately goes to impressive. Immediately. Right now I have that as the biggest issue for them, as of now speaking. But again, I will say it again for the third time. Every single tank spec did receive damage buffs 3 weeks ago. Based on those damage buffs, they are now gonna be in a much better state. Regardless of which tank you play, you will still be able to complete your weekly keys without any issues. And if you cannot do it, it's a skill issue. It is not a tank issue. Holy Priest, honestly, just like Discipline Priest, they lack mob control. That is one of the biggest issue for like priest specs. Neither of them has a meaningful mob control. No interrupt and only fear to stop. And fear sometimes can be immune against, you know, like undeads, for example. You can't really fear them, right? I believe abominations also cannot be feared. I honestly don't remember, but fear was not capable to fear every single you know, mob type. That's something to like remember. Yes, Justice now is part of the stops of Holy Priest, so technically slightly better than this priest. Holy, on the other hand, one of the most welcoming hitters. The barrier of entry, pretty much meaning the difficulty to play, is significantly lower than all the hitters, which means if you are a beginner player and if you're looking to pick up a healer that you think is something that can be played easily and reactively to top up health bars when something goes down, this is gonna be a good choice for you. Easy to play, easy healing, reactive healing too. So you can pretty much utilize your healing toolkit to top up the rest of the specs. Very easy. Damage profile and HPS profile are both solid. You will not have any complaint in that regard. In terms of survivability, most definitely needs a little bit more love there. Hence why I feel like a good choice here would be a rather lucrative options for them. And just like this priest, in my opinion, they do have a good utility toolkit, like for example PI, Mindsuit, you know, MD, etc. So by no means you're doing bad. I think you are a good choice for now. Balance Druid. Notoriously sandbaggers are trying to tell you that balance is the worst spec in the game. Chat, hear me out. If anybody tells you that Balance Druid is the worst DPS in game, they are sandbagging you. Okay? By no means you're the worst, but you're neither the best. I still believe for the high level keys, you have great AoE damage. Your AoE damage is not an issue. The issue here is single target. It's down bad. Single target is down bad. This is something that they have to work on, improve, and buff. Whether you're buffing Rat, Star Surge, Starfire, I don't care. Just anything to get them better. Defensives. They've got better defensives now than Dragonflight due to the bar skin. And they still struggle. They still struggle most of the time, especially if they gotta stay in bear form. Bear form is not optimal for them because during bear form they can't do shit. They can't DPS, right? So it's kind of useless for them. But that is the only reliable second choice of defensive they have currently. For lower level keys, this spec is gonna feel awful to play because by the time you ramp up, most of the targets are already dead. The higher the key goes, the better it becomes because the mobs live longer. You can stack multiple Starfoes and extends the Moonfires and Sunfire dots. So yeah, that is what I think about Balance Druids. Also, utility part, you are the bearer of Mark of the Wild. Mark of the Wild, good mob control in PO. For example, Typhoon with Vortex, Roar, AoE Silence. All of these are meaningful. So yeah, I think you're not completely dog shit, but you still need a lot of love to make you better. Marksmanship Hunter. I've seen a lot of other YouTubers are putting Hunter as a underperforming, especially MM, which is something that I never understood myself. I don't get how MM could be underperforming when they have one of the quickest burst cooldowns in the game. Like, great burst in AoE, very quick ramp up again, so kind of like a very quick front load burst as well for like lower level keys. Good sustain AoE. The issue with MM is just single target. Single target is a massive issue when you play Mythic Plus build. This issue gets to be resolved when you play raiding. During raid, single target is most definitely not an issue. During Mythic Plus with the AoE build, ST is an issue. So if you do play low level keys, mid level keys, even high keys, you're gonna feel still fantastic, except for the single target. But keep in mind, they've got now better utility, they're better defensively, so you are feeling and doing already better than last expansion. That's still climbing the ladder. Shall there be more changes on behalf of single target, then I would assume this spec is gonna climb to the A tier. If I have to give you a tier, I would say you are right now around B tier. Good choice. There's only one more DPS here, and this could be a rather controversial pickup, but again, this is probably gonna be close to impressive as a Retribution Paladin. But if I have to consider everything else, then I would say Retribution Paladin right now is probably a good choice rather than impressive. Although you have amazing AoE damage profile, your single target is still lackluster, which is again, just like the rest of the specs here, a quite problem. You are doing quite fantastic when it comes down to like survivability. You are very tanky spec. Again, several defensiveness, immunity, bop as well, lay on hands, and etc. You have the right tools to help your team pass through dangerous situations, but your single target still needs more adjustments, and I really hope that they will do that before the expansion comes live, or at least before the season, because Retribution Paladin is going to be one of my main ults this season. That is everything so far for like good choice. Again, if I'm going to be putting tiers, this is going to be B tier. So B tier, C tier, F tier, anything that is impressive, I consider A tier right now. Anything that is impressive, A tier. Best candidates, S tier. Top tier, pretty much in my opinion means S++. Like the top contenders, like the cream on the cake, the cherry on the cake, I guess, whatever. You know what I mean. Monk and Warrior. For me, Monk, Brewmaster Monk and Protection Warrior are all gonna be A tier. Now, I will explain to you why I believe that. Now, I've seen some people say X, Y, Z is higher. Now, let me explain my point of view. Then you can go ahead and tell me. I will begin with Warrior. Now, why do I think Warrior is gonna be A tier, not S tier? So it's simple. Even though Warrior has, in my opinion, a good damage profile, and you are actually quite durable spec, I believe the whole toolkit itself doesn't really match any of the S tier contenders. Your buffs to the party are not relevant to the point where I consider you S tier. And in my opinion, you need more babysitting than Blood DK. So hence why Blood DK in terms of self-sustain is going to be better. Hence why S tier here. If you pair this with, let's say, a full melee squad, let's say you're playing Rogue, Havoc DH, you're playing with Rogue, then I wouldn't mind putting you here, because your battle shout can carry a lot more damage to the whole group. But if you consider them as a standalone, non-bearer of the battle shout, as its whole spec itself, I would say A tier for me is more applicable. Although you are better than Brewmaster and you are better than Protection Paladin. I feel like A tier is by far a great choice for you, because again, remember, during Dragonflight, if any of you remembers, Protection Warriors were actually not that great. I can't remember a single time where they were actually, like down bad. So I don't really think that the whole utility itself is good enough to put you in like a best candidate per se. So I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope Protection Warrior gets more playtime. But I would say here, Guardian Druid, Vengeance DH are gonna be superior in pretty much any case, in my opinion. Impressive tier, once again, Brewmaster Monk. I think the biggest issue for Brewmaster Monk is the inability to be like as durable, let's say, as Protection Warrior, durable as, let's say, Vengeance DH right now, durable as, let's say, Blood DK. I think that's the biggest issue for them. They do good damage. They need more babysitting from the hitters, so like a lot more attention from the hitters. But they do good damage. They are not as tanky as the tanks put above them, but have everything else. Good mob control, sync very good physical damage oriented comps. Like genuinely speaking, if you put them again in a full physical comp, then Mystic Touch can actually be quite valuable and probably climb higher in case you're playing with that comp. Then again, you have come a long way since Dragonflight. You are doing way better in Dragonflight than before. Bottom Bloat has cleared, which made the rotation easier, more simpler, more enjoyable to play. So overall, you can't really be sad about A tier as a Brewmaster Monk. Has become, better and better and better. So yeah, that's about impressive tier. Now, Monk received a very few buffs this actually last week because it's already into the week. I do believe Monk is generally going to be a solid choice. Pretty much Mythic Plus, pugging, let's say pre-mating, any group choice. You're going to be fantastic. You have the tools to heal any encounters. You have the tools, for example, to handle any situation. You are doing great HPS, doing it off cooldowns and on cooldowns. Good mob control as well. AoE stun, Ring of Peace, paralysis, for example. Have a nice spot healing too. One issue I'm having here with Mr. Monk is you're not impressive in any of the regards here, and your external defensive cooldown, which is pretty much the Chikakun, in my opinion, is one of the weakest compared to most of the specs and what I have to offer as an external, especially for the tank. If your tank asks for Cocoon, that Cocoon gets eaten very quick. Now the Cocoon itself is not an issue, for example, for let's say a DPS or even yourself, right? But genuinely speaking, I do believe Monk is around A tier right now, and other healers just do things better than you. Next in line is gonna be Holy Paladin and Preservation Evoker. I'm gonna talk one by one of why do I think they're gonna be A tier. And yes, I know I've seen some people putting Preservation Evoker as S tier. I will give you my explanation why I don't think they're S tier, okay? I guess starting with Preservation Evoker because you guys wanna hear my story. So why do I think Preservation Evoker is not S tier and is A tier? So I will completely leave the argument of augmentation. I'm not gonna say about augmentation being more, more popular. That's why you might not see as many, preservations. I'm gonna leave this in a dirt. I will not talk about it. First of all, mass. So I'm gonna put you in the perspective. Casual players, casual group, non-pre-made, random key, plus 10. Give it a shot. A lot of players, if not most of the players, are unaware how the healing on Preservation Evoker works. They're unaware. Because of the unaware, their positioning is not favorable for your Evoker to do the maximum output, especially healing output. So they have two options. Whether to commit to fix your position so they can actually focus on healing. If you targets a spread, let's say two in the back, two in the front, and a tank, you have a very hard time to keep everybody, healthy at all times. If you're playing in a full pre-made and people are aware of how P Evoker is actually playing, then I'm pretty confident that P Evoker output, it will probably put you in an A tier. That is pretty much what I believe is the biggest issue so far for Preservation Evoker. So P Evoker means Preservation Evoker. So it's just the inability for people to actually understand how this spec works. Healing capabilities, and in general positioning, right? So yeah, that's the ODR. Yes, their damage profile is amazing. Yes, they have one of the highest damage profiles across, the whole spectrum of healers. But I think that's gonna be an issue for you. Holy Paladin, again, Holy Paladin received several changes throughout the beta, most notorious, several nerfs in a row. I think the output of Holy Paladin is probably gonna be closer to A tier. Their whole toolkit, especially for like Mythic Plus, like utility, is S tier in any given season. Very good mob control and immunity, strong defensiveness. Holy Paladin has actually everything they need to be S tier except the output. Other output, in my opinion, other hitters might have better output in that regard. Hence why I believe you are going to be A tier, and if you're playing in a full pre-made and you can get the best out of the utility, then you could potentially climb to the S tier. But I think A tier as a solo casual POV would be more appropriate. First in line for the impressive tier, it is going to be Outlaw Rogue. Now, Outlaw Rogue has been getting a lot of positive adjustments for the past couple weeks. The most recent one was a buff to their mastery, which is pretty much useless right now. But I'm going to give you my opinion of why do I believe Outlaw is going to be an impressive tier. Now, if you are pulling large packs at the same time, for example, multiple packs together, Outlaw uncapped damage is pretty much going to be a binner. Yes, you don't have uncapped damage. You also don't have any burst. So the higher the key goes, the better your damage profile becomes because it is consistent damage profile. Which means you have time to catch up while the rest of the specs recover cooldowns. Hence why the higher the key goes, the better you become. You're good defensively, good mobility, very good mob control. The only issue I'm having once again, uncap the AoE and give them better burst. That would put them higher in the rankings for sure. For now, at the bottom of A tier, maybe the highest of B tier would probably be a like a choice for you. I would say there. That's pretty much where I'm placing you. Bottom of bottom of A tier and very, very high B tier. If you are playing pack by pack, 5-6 mobs at a time, let's say Mists, for example, Grim Battle, then this pack is really good because you don't really pull more than 6 mobs at a time. So, fantastic. Survival Hunter will be next in line, and I'll explain why. A lot of other changes done to the classes for the past couple weeks were present on beta. Unfortunately, Survival has not gotten anything for the past couple weeks. If anything, you'll be getting nerfs. The last change done to Survival was 2.5 weeks ago when they got nerfed in AoE heavily and they got slight buffs on single target. So generally speaking here, what is the problem with Survival? Honestly, I don't have any issue there. You have decent sustained damage, AoE and ST, good burst too. You are now better in terms of survivability. You are better in utility. So generally speaking, you are going to be a good choice for the upcoming season. Likely the best hunter choice. So what would they do to make, for example, Survival climb higher? Just give them more damage. But right now, I would most definitely consider you above average. And if you're looking to play Hunter, you would not be disappointed by playing Survival. Next in line is going to be Arms Warrior. Arms Warrior next in line. Why do I believe Arms Warrior is next in line? Honestly, Arms didn't really get a lot of changes for the past couple weeks. The most recent one was a hotfix done yesterday, but that was a net neutral hotfix as far as I know. So no significant damage adjustments were made there that were positive or negative. In any other case, aka, kind of like restating what I said, you are gonna be in a great spot because your damage output is quite competitive, which is your biggest asset here, pretty much give or take. I do believe you have a long walk to go through to become the top performer by pretty much giving them more utility, maybe better defensiveness, even maybe more damage. I wouldn't be really opposed against that one. So yeah. Speaking about utility, I think Arms has one of the weakest utility in the game, likely the weakest so far, and it's something that I've been vocal for the past couple of expansions that they need to give both Arms and Fury and Protection Warrior something more meaningful to contribute to the group. Battle Shout itself is good when you play with melees. After that becomes useless. Rallying Cry is gonna be great. Shockwave, Stormbolt has a good mob control there. Can't complain with a Fear 2, which is kind of capped, which is, I don't know, why is capped? They should uncap the Fear. But yeah, so pretty much your damage is your biggest asset. Anyway, moving forward, next in line, it is going to be Sub-Rogue. Sub-Rogue next in line is actually going to be a quite valuable addition to your team. Why do I think that? Is because very simple. Sub-Rogue, unlike Outlaw, has way better burst, good sustained damage, good single target. It's quite tanky, just like any rogue spec, and most importantly has good mob control. Sub-Rogue is pretty much everything you're looking for when you're considering any strong melee right now, and it's one of, in my opinion, specs that has always been at least consistent Mythic Plus for the past couple of beta cycles so far. Ever since the start of beta, they've been actually quite good. I don't think they were ever really bad in beta. Maybe like the first couple weeks they were really bad before the buffs. Yeah, I think overall Sub-Rogue is going to be a fantastic choice leading to the first season of War Within. Not as good as Assassination, but still a valuable choice across low level keys, mid level keys, and high keys. This is a Mythic Plus centric tier list. We're focusing on performances of each spec and class for Mythic Plus exclusively. We don't talk about delves, we don't talk about water content, we most definitely don't talk about PvP, and not about raid. Quite honestly, we don't care about PvP. Zero fucks about PvP. Alright, chat. There is a few more specs in the impressive tier. And remember, impressive tier pretty much means A tier. This pretty much means A tier. If you are put in impressive, you are what I consider the A tier of the expansion. Next in line is a spec that climbed the ladder a few spots up. Has been also most recently buffed. It is going to be, to a surprise of many people, it is going to be Windwalker Monks. Windwalker Monk received yet another buff, by the way, the past couple of days. Mastery buff, Rising Sun Kick buff as well. You've got also a Spinning Crane buff as well, which is absolutely amazing. They have now got better AoE, better single target, better burst damage, the same utility, which is pretty good, by the way, and most importantly, several ways to mitigate incoming damage. Overall, I believe playing with a monk here would be a valuable asset if you're looking to play in a physical exclusive comp, especially if you combine warrior and monk together. That can give you a massive boost to any of the DPS that is chosen to play with them. Like, let's say warrior rogue monk combo could be actually quite nutty if you add, for example, Preservation Evoker with it. So I wouldn't really be opposed to the idea of having monk in it. Talking next in line. Again, no changes done for the spec. Unholy. Unholy received 0 changes for the past couple of days or weeks, I guess. I still believe they have one of the most valuable assets in the game, which is pretty much burst AoE damage. Very good sustained single target. Not as good as raid-wise build, but again, it's still decent for Mythic Plus build. Good mob control, very durable spec, and in my opinion, one of the most aesthetically pleasing melee spec right now in the game. Overall, a solid contender. Can't say anything worse, I guess, bad about them, except that Frost is just better. Feral Druid is one of the specs most people underestimate. A lot of people have been putting this Feral Druid on the bottom of the tier lists, but let me give you why I believe Feral Druid is actually going to be a great pickup. Although Feral didn't get any changes for the past couple of 2 weeks, I believe, Feral has most recently have been getting buffed. You know, I think earlier this month and at the end of July as well, they've gotten buffs. So I think overall the damage profile looking to be very solid here, way better than Balanced Druid. Good AoE, good single target, good private damage too. More durable than Balanced Druid, or in general one of the more durable melees out there. Very good utility. Again, Mark of the Wild itself, like Mark of the Wild utility is already better than most of the specs what they have to offer. Good mob control, again, Curse the spell, Enrage the spell, Mass Root if you have to play Mass Root, Typhoon, Roar, you know, all of these shenanigans can help your team like pass through dangerous periods of in Mythic Plus. Overall, one thing I don't like about Feral is sometimes I feel like you're too much starved on energy. Like, feels like the rotation has slowed down so much that at some point you gotta just stay AFK until you get enough energy. So again, going from Dragonflight to the War Within, you most definitely gonna notice the rotation, like how slow has become. You know, this might be fixed with the later scaling on haste, like higher haste amps maybe, but so far I would say you are a most definitely a decent choice for Mythic Plus. Way better than you were in Dragonflight. Next in line, straight to the top of the A tier, goes Demonology Warlock. On the contrary to what people believe, Demonology is actually most definitely a solid choice across any key levels you're looking to get. Low keys, mid keys, high keys, your damage profile is most definitely an impressive one. Whether it's going to be single target, burst damage, sustained damage, you are good everywhere. I can't complain about it. You're not top tier, but you're most definitely not a bad choice at all. If you add on top of this the amount of utility you can bring to the team in Mythic Plus, how durable you are, you have everything to be considered A tier for now. And the only way for you to climb to the S tier is pretty much more buffs. Enhanced Shaman. Enhanced Shaman is actually doing still fantastic in Mythic Plus. They have gotten several nerfs in a row, but when you're playing pack by pack, 5-6 mobs at a time, you are going to be doing fantastic damage. Burst, sustain, single target, you cannot complain anywhere. The only issue I'm having with Enhanced right now, actually two issues. First issue, your uncapped damage profile, let's say above 10 mobs, is most definitely an issue. Mass AoE is not as good as your 5-6 targets or below damage profile. That has been known for a long time, yes. It has gotten better, but it's still far behind most of the melees that have uncapped damage. Second issue, a lot of button bloat. For me, it feels like most of the time you are juggling a lot of things in your rotation, and it could be unenjoyable for like casual players when they are starting on Enhanced. They might find it a little bit awkward. Other than this, Enhanced is gonna be blasting next season. Yes, you might not be the best DPS right now, and yes, you might not be considered meta, but you most definitely wouldn't really struggle in completing any key levels. Now, whether you're gonna play casual keys, low keys, mid-level keys, and high keys, you are gonna do great. Don't doom Enhance. Don't tell me Enhance is bad. Most definitely not bad. Also, remember this: they have Sky Fury, which is pretty much a global buff to the whole party. 2% mastery and a Wind Fury buff. Think about that one. Has the issues on surviving high keys? Again, if you're playing high keys, you might run into issues surviving, of course. Everybody knows that. We've already discussed this lengthily. Yes, it has been the case. But given the right circumstances, you might be able to survive. I guess depends on the team. Fury Warriors are right here, just before Demonology, by the way. Fuck. Let me run it back on Fury Warriors. So Fury Warriors have been getting some changes this week, and honestly, from what I've been testing so far, I'm unaware if Fury Warriors did actually got nerfed or not. On a note, I'll summarize you. Fury Warriors most definitely have a good sustained damage, short offensive cooldowns, good bursts, decent survivability toolkit, but the utility part is a massive issue. You're not considered top contender, but you're most definitely one of the most welcoming DPSs so far in Mythic Plus. Very easy to play. Again, simple rotation, good front load burst, and good sustain. Overall, everything you have to do to be put in A tier. You could become a best candidate if you are playing here with a full melee squad. Let's say, if you're playing, for example, with Enhancing Rogue in a neat Battle Shout, that Battle Shout can carry you to the S tier. It could carry you there. If you're playing as a standalone spec and you don't consider that, then you're probably you're probably around A tier, I would say. Like top of A tier, I would say. So, next in line is gonna be Havoc DH. In my opinion, you are the top of the A tier. Honestly, I'll be here completely honest. For the past couple of weeks, Havoc didn't really got any major tuning, but your single target and AoE damage profile is absolutely brilliant, from burst to sustain. The only issue here for Havoc DH right now is the rotation. Honestly, I haven't really played any more, like, I haven't played a lot. Dude, I already forgot English. I haven't played a spec that felt so awful to play in Mythic Plus. Purely rotation point of view, momentum style with glaive built in it, it's something that I found unpleasant to play. Purely my opinion. You might not like it. You might disagree with me. Purely my opinion. I don't like how Havoc is playing. I wish there were some other changes done on Havoc. Yes, it is strong. Yes, you have good self-sustain because of the leech. And most importantly, you have the ability to mitigate a lot of damage with double defensive. Netherwalk, Blur. No. Other than this, I can't complain. Darkness, Chaos Brand, Chaos Nova 2, like all of this can help your team survive. But the only issue I'm having is just enjoyment and fun. For me, fun on Havoc is 1 out of 10. Yeah. That's about it. Havoc has the best transmog. I mean, again, I don't consider transmogs when I'm building like a specs right now. I don't consider transmogs, but maybe I should. I miss BFA days where our I-beam type of play was so good with haste. Do you guys remember? Back in BFA, people were playing? What is the short cooldown on Havoc? That did a lot of AoE. Fuck. What was it called, chat? Something with Phil. Not Glyph Tempest. Not Blade Dance. Not I-Beam. It was like... It's like a Fel Barrage. Dude. Fucking Fel Barrage, bro. Like, people in BFA were like charging in melee. I-Beam. Fel Barrage. I-Beam. That's it. No. Charging melee. I-Beam. Fel Barrage. Meta. Reset I-Beam. I-Beam. The pack is dead. The notorious Big Burst. Back in the day was fucking insane. Like people were like destroying them, So yeah, it's kind of pretty good though. Didn't press Blade Dance Noob DH. Yeah, I mean, I think meta resets your Blade Dance and I-Beam, right? So technically you can like charge in Blade Dance, I-Beam, meta. Blade Dance, I-Beam, that's it. The pack is pretty much dead. But that wasn't the case for like high keys. I think for high keys, they were living a lot more. Blood Decay and Guardian. I'll explain why do I think they are S tier right now. Starting with Blood Decay. A lot of people here would say Blood Decay should be A tier. They shouldn't be close to the Guardian Bear. But Blood Decay, in my opinion, has very good self-sustain profile. Like one of the healers that least rely on actually having your healer be contributing to your health. Which again, if you're playing for like casual level keys, then Blood Decay could actually have a lot of influence when it comes down to just living. Damage wise as well is absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I can't complain there. Very good mob control because of double grip, for example. Extremely tanky, good damage. Everything that you need for the Blood Decay to be S tier, you have it. However, they don't have raid buff. Unlike Guardian, unlike Vengeance DH, they don't have a buff that helps your party do more damage. Like Guardian has Mark of the Wild, Vengeance has Chaos Brand. All of this can contribute to your party doing more damage. Blood Decay does not, and I don't even know what kind of buff they should be giving Blood Decay to give the party more damage. I mean, I guess they consider the double grip a valuable asset to the raid team, which I think I could agree with that. Again, gripping could be very important, but at the end of the day, do they really have anything to like give you more damage with? Not really. So for me, that's pretty much one of the reasons why I believe you are not the best tank, but you are a solid contender for the S tier. The thing is, CR, a lot of tanks have a CR too. Like, let's say Prot Paladin has a CR, Guardian has a CR. If you're playing Healer, Restoration, Druid have a CR, Holy Paladin, and a bunch of DPS players do have also Combat Resurrection. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but Combat Resurrection right now is gonna be an item, not a craft like it used to be in Dragonflight. So now it's gonna be an item that you can get from engineering. So yeah, I mean, you can play around them, to be honest with you. Like, you can most definitely play around it, but we'll see. And moving to the Guardian Druid, why do I believe Guardian is going to be S tier contender? I mean, purely because of how good they are from the damage point of view, from durability point of view. Most definitely one of the best tanks that I consider right now in the War Within. Also, even though it's pretty boring to play and it's one of the easiest tanks, they are solid everywhere. Mark of the Wild itself is very valuable for the whole team because it gives you 3% verse. Which, if you guys don't know what verse does, verse gives you damage and also DR. DR means damage reduction. For every point of verse, you're getting 0.5% damage reduction. So if they give 3% verse to the whole team, that pretty much means 3% more damage to the whole team and 1.5% damage reduction permanently. Which, again, for any spec, even if you don't like verse as your spec, it's still gonna be a massive thing. Several issues I'm having with Guardian. First issue is gonna be rotation. I don't like how it plays. It's very simple, not as engaging. Second thing is gonna be self-sustain could be a little bit on the lower end, just because I believe both Vengeance and Blood DK have a better self-sustain than you, which is, again, something to consider. And I guess last thing, bonus one, is gonna be mob control. I don't think mob control is as good, for example, as Vengeance DH, as Blood DK, which could potentially create an issue further down the line, especially if your team is not using any of the utility to stop stuff. So, yeah. But I still believe both tanks are going to be considered S tier. Moving forward to the healers. Now, for the healers, that's going to be a very good conversation. First of all, before I begin, chat, what do you think about tanks? Do you guys agree that Guardian and Blood DK are top tier, or do you think that there are better choices up there? Chat, what do you think? Do you agree with what I said, or do you believe there are other tanks to be considered up there with them? Okay, you think Protection Warrior should be S tier instead of A tier? Okay. Depends on a comp, Protection Warrior can become S tier. I agree with that. Depending on a comp, I do believe that they could be up there too. I don't think Holy Paladin deserves the position. What, A tier? Brewmaster Monk should be S tier, okay. Vengeance, of course, since they provide CC and more utility than DK and Druid. Yep, that's true as well, by the way. Like, think about that. Vengeance has Grip Sigil, Fear Sigil, Silence Sigil, AoE Stun. And what does Bear have? In-cap Roar. What else do you have as an AoE stop? In-cap Roar, Vortex, Typhoon, maybe? Maybe. Very maybe. That's about it. As a Blood DK, you have Binding Sleet, Double Grip. I guess if you play Asphyxiation, maybe. I don't like Typhoon as much because when your Typhoon mobs away from the ground visuals, kind of annoys me, you know? Whenever I play, for example, as an El Shaman, and as a Guardian Druids are pushing mobs left and right, I get super mad, you know? If they were to do this, then they have to do at least like a Vortex, some shit like that. Bear has a poison and curse spell. True. Good luck spending 2 global cooldowns on grips. I mean, maybe not at the start, but of course. We're gonna take a look on Dorky's tier list after this one. I told you guys, after this one, we're gonna take a look on Dorky's stake, and we're gonna watch Yummy TV tier list too. I wanna see what they say about it. Anyway, moving forward, healers. Healers, I believe there are 2 choices right now for S tier. First is gonna be Restoration Shaman is gonna be, in my opinion, currently the best healer right now. And second best healer is gonna be a Restoration Druid. Heal-wise, let's talk about Druids first. So, Druids. I do believe Druids are still gonna be a valuable contender for the top end keys, and I'll explain why. So, Mark of the Wild itself has a lot to do in the argument, but also the ability to provide a nice overall utility package to the whole team. Let's say Curse the Spell, Poison the Spell, Typhoon, Vortex, Soothe, Roar. You know, all of these mob control abilities does help your team pass the important packs. Combat Resurrection is also an important, I guess, value that you can give to the team, right? But other than this, that's pretty much all the TLDR on the utility. You are tanky. You do great damage, one of the highest damage profiles right now. So HPS could be an issue. In some cases, healing very high keys could be an issue. Hence why I don't think you are completely S tier. For the casual level keys, I think Restoration Shaman would be likely a better pick, because first of all, it's easier, it's simpler, and it provides better mob control than you. Now, a lot of people are gonna tell me that's not true, but I do believe Restoration Shaman has the best mob control. Now, I'll tell you why. AoE stun, AoE knockup, the shortest kick in the game. All of this together gives you a lot more room to be able to juggle mobs in, okay? I don't like that you have SLT as the only external defensive for your team. Like, SLT itself is not as valuable as having, for example, Iron Bark on Restoration Druid. Sure, but again, extra HP all the time on a whole team, the Earth Shield as well on a single target, all of this can actually give you a lot more room to like juggle in stuff. Also, passive healing while doing damage has gotten better since the introduction of the War Within. And most importantly, your utility is one of the best, if not the best in a game. Remember, Poison Dispel, Curse Dispel, Stun, Bloodlust, Purge. What else do you have? AG of heals too, while doing DPS, right? Tremor Totem can also be useful in some cases, by the way. Small DR to the whole team whenever they use their Healing Stream Totem or Cloudburst. Wind Rush, speed increase, and also they remove the movement impairing effects. So, you know, all of this together can give you a nice, like, Sky Fury as well, right? That's not a group-wide buff. So, overall speaking, I do believe Restoration Shaman is currently the best performing healer after the nerfs to Restoration Druid. For casual level keys, I think you're the best. For the high level keys, then I could see people play P Evoker, I could see people play Druid, or even Paladin to some extent. Next in line is gonna be Affliction Lock, and I'll explain why. Affliction Lock itself has gotten likely the best update from any ranged DPS option in the War Within. Affliction Lock was completely dogshit for the past couple of months, even years, and they've become one of the best range options for the War Within. I'm extremely happy to announce that they will continue to be good. They have not gotten nerfs, and now they're probably in the best state ever since Legion, probably, right? So, what does Affliction has? Very good burst damage, one of the highest. Very good burst damage while doing single target in AoE, right? So because of the MR. Good single target, better than before, but not really insane, better than before. Good spread damage profile, very good durability. Again, curses are universal, good utility for Mythic Plus, because again, if you're playing Hell Caller specifically, you can have Curse of the Satyrs, which pretty much gives you double curse in like one global, which is insane. The only issue I'm having here with Affliction Lock is off cooldowns. For example, off 1 minute, off 2 minutes, you most definitely don't have the highest damage profile. You might struggle there and your DPS can get diminished. But remember this, if they were to fix the Veiltain problem, again, the Veiltain problem, I consider the Agony about to expire, and you don't have Veiltain to refresh Agony. So now, what you have to do is make sure to manually apply Agony to pretty much uh 5, 6, or 7 targets, which kind of is pain. So what they could do is make something similar to what Shadow Crush is. Shadow Crush becomes available immediately a second or two before all the dots are getting dismantled from the targets, you know. Or what they could do is every time you cast Malefic Rupture, you extend the duration of your agony by, let's say, 1 second, right? That could also solve some issues. Every time you cast Malefic Rupture, you extend agony by like a second, you know. Like something like this would improve the quality of life of playing Affliction Lock. Other than this, you are doing fantastic. Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest notoriously went from the lowest performing DPS spec in early beta to one of the best casters in the current season 1 of the War Within. Now, are they going to become as dominant as they used to be back in the days? No. I don't think they are as good as, for example, season 3, season 4, but most definitely they are doing fantastic. Now, perhaps you could become much higher placement if you actually play High Mythic Plus, because I do believe you are way better to play High Mythic Plus as Shadow Priest than playing low level keys or mid level keys. So any of these specs can now DPS Shadow Priest if you're playing low level keys. But as soon as you start to do mid high level keys, then this becomes invaluable asset to your team. Also, in terms of utility, you don't have anything new. To repeat again, Mass Dispel, Disease Dispel, PI, Stamina Buff, Mind Suit, all of this can help you, you know, further bolster the, like your value to the team. So yeah, that's pretty much about like having Shadow Priest itself. I think if anything, if you were, for example, playing on the, let's say, plus 10 keys, then Affliction Lock can actually most likely beat Shadow Priest most of the time. But as the higher the key goes, the longer the mob lives, your burst can be utilized to the full, therefore you might become just a better caster. And no, you're not playing Void Weaver, you are playing Arcane. That's about it, chat. Alright, moving forward. Next in line is gonna be Frost Mage, Arcane Mage. And I'll talk about it. First, Frost Mage. Frost Mage, most honestly, has become one of the easiest specs to play in Mythic Plus, especially as a range so far. I do consider Frost Mage to be extremely welcoming for new players. Has very good burst damage, nice priority target damage when you spam Ice Lances in AoE. Most definitely not so great single target, but I would say most definitely above average. One of the highest durability specs in the game. Very good mob control. Immunity is also pretty valuable. And again, everybody knows party white buffs, like utility wise, are one of the best for mages because of Arcane Intellect, which is absolutely valuable addition to your team when you play with full casters. On the other hand, Arcane Mage offers similar toolkit as Frost Mage. However, Arcane is a lot more bursty, especially when you know there's upcoming mobs for you that you have to prioritize by killing quick. You could have some issues in a mass AoE dungeons, or you could have issues on like low level keys when mobs don't last that long. But again, playing on a high level keys, mid level keys, Arcane will be one of the best specs in the world. Again, if you combine Arcane and Frost Mage with like Augmentation Evoker, both of those specs are gonna go to the S+ tier. Again, if you combine Augmentation with those mages, they become S+ tier, and they become pretty much invaluable asset to your team because they create the Exodia comp. Exodia comp is pretty much full caster meta with Vengeance DH, Mage, Augmentation, and last caster could be completely optional. Mass Barrier, once again, yes, we already know is a great option for the whole party. It has been nerfed to 3 minutes cooldown instead of 2 minutes. It's too insane. Yeah. Alright, well, I've already placed Augmentation to the top tier, so I guess I gotta talk about Augmentation. I don't think Augmentation is gonna be a must pick for you for, let's say, lower level keys, but as soon as you start venturing to like mid to high level keys, they are gonna be most definitely one of the most valuable assets for you to have in a team. Now, they might not be as they might not provide you as much damage, for example, as having an actual 3rd DPS, but what they're gonna give you is safety for you to complete the key in time. They will make your tank tankier, they will make your healer heal better, they will make your party do more damage in healing, they will make your DPS players be more durable. On and on, whenever you play high keys, even mid-level keys, I guarantee you most of you don't deplete keys because you don't have damage. Most of you deplete keys because you fuck up and die. Augmentation could fix that. They could fix you dying because they provide more safety to your team. They might not be better for time. But they give you the safety, which means you will be able to time the keys easier because of this. If you're looking for time, you might not want to consider Augmentation. And I'm going to talk about this in the following few minutes. As soon as I'm done with the tier list, I'll talk about group comps. There are group comps that can do good damage without Augmentation. That's pretty much about Aug, the TLDR. As a standalone spec, you rely on other people being good at the game for you to do damage. Good mob control, immunity, very good utility profile, one of the best in the game, very mobile spec, much tankier than before. Nothing else to say. I guess the only tank that we didn't put here is gonna be Vengeance DH, and I will explain why do I think Vengeance DH is gonna be top tier. Okay, hear me out. So Vengeance DH, in my opinion, has one of the highest, if not the highest, damage profiles in the game as a tank. Has the best mob control, arguably. I think, actually no, you know what, I take this back, it's not arguably, I'm saying this as a definitive answer. They have the best mob control across any tank, period. It's not arguable. There are some bugs, however, that make Vengeance DH much more durable than they are, which is actually one of the biggest weaknesses for them. It's just pretty much durability. That bug without Drake River and talent interactions make them more tanky, increase their self-sustain, has not been fixed yet, and that's why I believe they are going to be a top tier tank in the incoming season 1 expansion for the War Within, I guess, season, right? Now, if Vengeance DH becomes a meta tank, you most likely wanna focus on having casters. So, when I say casters, Mage, Vengeance, all together are forming the notoriously known Exodia comp, and I believe you might want to see some Shaman in it. Now, whether it's going to be Restoration Shaman or Eli Shaman or Enhance and having an extra caster, I wouldn't be surprised. But kind of an Exodia comp will be probably one of the best comps right now in Mythic Plus. But do keep in mind that there's a lot of DPS in a game that play melee and benefit from DK. From, for example, Chaos Brand. Like Death Knight, for example, benefits from having Chaos Brand a lot. Havoc DH as well benefits from Chaos Brand, but they already provide that for themselves, whatever. Enhanced Shaman has Chaos Brand too. It benefits a shit ton. I believe Survival Hunter, Wildfire Bombs, and Explosive Shot can also benefit from Chaos Brand. Unholy DK has a tons of ways to benefit from Chaos Brand too. So, you know, Chaos Brand is not purely something that you give only to the magic damage dealers as a casters. You know, a lot of melees can also be considered magic damage dealers, even though they're melees. Alright, next in line is going to be Eli Shaman. Eli Shaman, in my opinion, one of the meta contenders right now. Most definitely one of the most broken casters right now. For AoE, it's just absolutely ludicrous. You have damage every single pack and you are unstoppable there. has most definitely one of the most consistent damage profiles, extremely easy to play AoE. The only issue that I'm getting with Elemental is your spread target damage is non-existent, your 2 targets is okay, single target also not really impressive, but it's not bad either. You've got better defensiveness, better utility, a rate buff, better damage. You are, in my opinion, one of the S tier contenders right now. Next in line is gonna be Assassination Rogue and Frost DK, and I'll talk about why do I think those are still gonna be S tier, starting with Assassination Rogue. Assassination Rogue is gonna be, in my opinion, one of the best melees in the upcoming expansion. Several reasons. Very, very high AoE damage, very good single target, amazing mob control, Iron Wire Garrote combo can silence as casters, which provides irreplaceable pretty much way to like tackle mobs if you don't have the silence sigil of Vengeance DH. Very tanky spec, extremely mobile, and most importantly, can be played on any key level, any comp, etc. Last but not least, Frost DK. Frost DK right now, most definitely one of the strongest specs currently. Insane burst, short cooldowns pretty much, extremely durable, very good mob control too. Like there is nothing really else to like say bad about Frost DK. There's like not a singular thing that I could think about that is bad about Frost DK. The only thing is you're not really a caster. You cannot benefit from like Arcane Intellect, which again, Arcane Intellect is gonna be likely the driving factor when choosing what to play with who to play. So you might wanna see Mage Oak Ellie combo with the Restoration Druid and Vengeance DH. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way. Utility wise, not bad. I wouldn't say it's bad though, because again, I think it's okay. We have Grips Binding Slit, for example. AMZ, AMS can now be cast to a secondary targets too. Combat Resurrection, you know, you have a lot of ways to like tackle your I guess situations in Mythic Plus. But again, I don't claim it's the best. I'm just saying it's not really bad. I was in at Hale. What did I say about Shadow Priest? Wait, I spoke about Shadow Priest 20 minutes ago. You wanna tell me that for 20 minutes you were in at Hale? For 20 minutes? No fucking way, bro. So speaking purely about comps, now here is gonna be the interesting discussion, chat. If you made it until the end, this is gonna be likely the most valuable 5 minutes of your life you want to be here and, you know, hear me out, because this is going to be something that will likely determine how to play with who to play when you play Mythic Plus. So speaking about the best comps so far, I value several things. First thing first, what kind of key levels do you play? If you're playing low level keys, then I believe there's something better than having full caster comp. I believe on a lower level keys, aka if you're a casual player, having no augmentation is actually better. In this case, you could see comps like Frost DK, like Mage, for example. Any of the tanks here could be good with Protection Warrior too, by the way. And then you can see something like Ellie, for example, like Masked AoE 2. And something strong for single target, for example, like Shadow Priest. Like these combos together could be extremely valuable. Triple DPS, any of the classes that you see on a best candidate or impressive, together with either of those tanks here, could be a great combo together without augmentation. Low level keys, you'll likely want to play no augmentation, triple DPS, and you will probably prioritize classes with a better burst. So which classes have better burst? Classes, for example, like Affliction, Frost DK, Fury Warrior, Demonology, right? Havoc DH. Shadow Priest is not really great for like low level keys because of the ramp up. I wouldn't really recommend Shadow Priest like low level keys. Asa Rogue is okay for low level keys, has gotten better. There's still some ramp up here, by the way. They're way better for high keys than they are on low level keys. So yeah, I would say that's okay too. You know, Monk could be fine, Unholy could be fine. You know, Enhance is actually quite good. So low level keys, no oak, triple DPS, burst oriented specs that sync together is gonna be the win for you. It is gonna be the win for you. I believe if you're in that stage, in that category, guys, that is exactly what you want to focus on. Now, we're going forward. We're going forward to like mid-level keys, and mid-level keys, I believe, is around right now 10-ish. There we see a lot of different opinions when it comes down to this. That's where, for example, the Exodia comp can shine better, because in my opinion, mobs live longer. So something, for example, like Augmentation, Vengeance, Ellie, Frost or Arcane, and for example, Shadow Priest, Affliction Warlock, Frost DK, all of this here could be amazing choice all together combined. You could have, for example, Outlaw Rogue, Frost DK, and for example, Augmentation and something like Protection Warrior with them, because it kind of buffs them. I guess it buffs the Assassination Rogue. Frost DK really benefits more from like Vengeance DH. This could be the case here. If you don't play Ellie, you can play with the Retribution Shaman. I feel like the Sky Fury right now would probably gonna be irreplaceable utility Mythic Plus. So if you don't play Ellie, you can play Rest Shaman. Even Enhance, you know. So depending on this, then you can adjust for tanks. Tanks could be anything from here to here and here. Blood Decay is gonna be good as a standalone spec, but then again, Protection Warrior gives you more physical damage. Vengeance gives you more magical damage. Guardian Druid gives you pretty much damage to everybody. So depending on what you play, this could be different opinions. What are you guys talking about? Let me check. Wait, what? At least his streamer just said mid 10ish keys. Yeah, for me, anything that is 10 key is gonna be mid-level keys. Obviously, remember, those key levels are gonna most definitely change. So if right now, if mid-level keys is 10 and low-level keys is below 10, yeah, I mean, I would say these things could definitely change though. While gear is getting better, mid-level keys would shift further. Guys, I just gave you explanation of every single spec in the game and why do I think they're gonna be top tier, best candidate, and impressive A tier. I don't have any more energy for me to explain over and over and over again why X, Y, and Z is gonna be there. I'll put you highlights on YouTube. You guys can venture it. You guys can see why do I think Retribution Evoker is gonna be in A tier and not in S tier. There's a reason why. I don't think they're gonna be S tier. They could be S tier in a right circumstances.